Hello again everyone, Ken from Whittling Woods back again with another whittling wood carving tutorial. Today we're going to use this lovely piece of walnut that a viewer of mine, Mark, thank you very much again, had sent me in a box full of other pieces of wood and a whittling knife. If you saw a couple videos back, Mark made me a knife and I used that in the last video. It was a great gift, and he also sent me a lot of pieces of wood, and one of them happens to be this piece of walnut. I thought we'd take this piece of walnut and use a good old pocket knife. I know a lot of people like the pocket knife whittles that I do, and I like using a pocket knife. In fact, I'm just looking at this, it's a little scuffed up. I carry them around and sometimes they get a little scuffed up, but it's probably when I was honing it up earlier. So anyway, we're going to use this little Rough Rider pocket knife. People have asked me about these knives. I picked these up many years ago. They were really cheap at the time. They're probably still not that expensive. I would imagine something similar to this. I don't believe they make the same exact style. It's probably in the neighborhood of 20 bucks or so. I think I picked them up, believe it or not, back when I bought them, probably for under $10. And it's held up for a number of years. I like to use it on harder woods that I do. And a piece of walnut like this is perfect. So let me get everything set up and I'll be right back. Okay, real quick, I neglected to mention, I'll just give you the measurements on the piece of wood here. It's just about an inch, a little north of an inch, maybe an inch and a 1/16 wide, and it's about 15/16 deep. So we're going to carve the front face over here, and this will be the side of the bear. It's going to be a little bear bust. We'll have his snout up here and some ears in the back. It'll be a fairly simple carving. I'm going to try to make this simple, simple enough for people who are getting into the hobby can follow along, and maybe people who have whittled a bit can also find something useful out of it. First thing I like to do is just take back the edges just a bit here. I like using walnut. I whittle with walnut quite a bit. Actually, I'm just going to take these bottom edges where I'm holding it down a bit. It's a little easier on the hands. So you can see, I just kind of beginning to round it out. This will be the front. I marked the 2-inch line over here. It'll probably be that'll be the full bust of the bear. It'll be just as basically his head, a little snout and a couple of ears, and we're not going to do the full body. So anyway, what I like to do is just kind of keep rounding this part out a bit, taking it back, because we're gonna get the snout area in here. It's good to have your center lines. Like I said, draw your center lines on all faces and even on the top as well, because that'll come in handy for you. It gives you good guidelines, when you're kind of keeping things fairly symmetric. Okay, now that we have the edges basically whittled away, we can start taking back the top. We got to round out bring back the head a bit. We're going to have to bring it back because we're going to have some ears. So what I'm going to do is basically, there's the center line. Actually, it's probably just a bit on one side of center. I'm just going to take the wood back, and I'm not going to come down that far initially here. With harder woods like walnut, especially when you're cutting a cross grain like this, it's a little tougher. You hear the knife chatter a bit on the end grain. But all I'm doing is whittling it back just to about that halfway part. So what I'm doing here is just simple as that. Just coming back here and taking nibbles away. I'm not trying to do the whole thing at once. I'm rounding it as I go to make it just a little easier. I don't, it's going to be too hard to take all that wood at one shot. In other words, taking a whole chunk like that. I like to start to bring it down on the sides a little bit. Keep looking from all angles here. See how you're doing in terms of symmetry. You can kind of see from the top here. I think we need to bring it in a little bit more on this side. What I also do is start to bring in the back a little bit. the ears aren't exactly on the back of, right in the back of the head. So we're going to bring this in a little bit as well. Right about in here, we'll have both ears. So that's all I'm doing here. You can kind of see how it's going. We're going to bring this back a little bit more here. There you go. You could turn these into a lot of different things. You could, do a dog with them. Any animal that has like a snout, which I guess a lot of them do. There you go. Can I see where we're going? Kind of does have a dog look to it right now, right? Okay. So we're just creating the trying to establish where the end of his snout and his nose will come by doing this. We're going to put a line underneath here to form the bottom of it eventually. If you're using a different type of wood, like a basswood or something like that, it'll be a lot easier whittling. But what's nice about this walnut is that it kind of has a bare fur look to it already. It's got that like a nice brown bear color to it already, and if you oil it up or so, it darkens even more. So I like walnut. I like using it in whittles. It's not the easiest wood to carve, but I kind of I like the way it looks. Alrighty. So what I'll do here is as I begin to take this back a little bit on each side, you can kind of see how I'm doing it. Taking these a bit of a scooping cut over here and over here on both sides of the face. And then we're going to find the bottom part of his jaw. We're going to have his mouth slightly open, so we're going to come down maybe just a little bit further, say maybe right about here or so. And yeah, I think that looks right. So if that's the 2-inch mark, I came down probably about a third, like right about there is as you can see, I'm just kind of doing a stop cut and cutting right up to it. That's it. This will be the bottom of his lower jaw. There you go. Kind of see from the side there. I kind of start tapering it up a bit on either side. Very dog-like at this point, I think, huh? I come in here and I start scooping out to thin the nose and snout area out a bit more. What I'm aiming for, the bears have fairly, if you look at them kind of from the front, and in that perspective, it's sort of round their overall head. They have fur that goes around the sides of their face that makes their head appear fairly round. Alrighty. There you go. And then let's take the nose back just a little bit more here on the top. What I want to do is start working on ears to get those established. So you can see where we're at this point here. I'm going to clear some of this out of the way. That's all we're doing, so get yourself to about that phase there. It's pretty straightforward. And then I start, in order to define the ears, I do these little scooping cuts in the center here, just kind of starting to separate the wood a bit. What we're doing essentially is just kind of establishing where the top of the head and ears are. That's all. So you can kind of see over here. I'm just coming in here and removing some wood. You can come in here and maybe slice it with your knife as well if you want to do that. Slice into it. You know, sometimes with end grain, you got to be very careful. So, but you take your time. We're not in any rush here. You can kind of start to round the back of the ear as well, like that. And what I do then is I come in here, and you can see sort of from the top, just clean that up a bit more. That's where we are at this point. So from the top, what I do is I kind of come in here, straight in a little bit. You can see right from the top where my knife is, maybe right about here or so. I kind of come in and I'll put a bit of a stop cut. Be careful with that. I don't come down too deep. You can kind of see here. And then here's where you have to be very careful. Just don't take small little nibbles here, because if you go too far, you'll snap the ear right off. So just kind of letting you know that ahead of time. Take your time, do it carefully, and you'll be all right. And just kind of work your way around. You kind of see how I'm doing that. Again, keep your cuts. You don't have to take all. You know, you don't have to go at it, you know, with a vengeance, because chances are you're going to snap the ear off if you do that, and you don't want to do that. Just kind of establish, kind of separate that wood a bit. I know it's hard to see, but maybe you can kind of see it from that angle. There you go. That's all we're doing. We're just trying to establish a bit of, we're trying to create, you know, leave some wood there to form an ear. And bears have kind of like half circle shaped ears. So as long as we leave some wood there to play around with. I don't know if you can see that, but there you go. And then we're going to have to do the same thing on this side over here. So again, we're going to come in here. We're going to put our knife in the woods at a slight angling, slightly back a little bit, kind of like so. And then again, carefully start to remove that little piece of wood in there. That's probably one of the more fragile parts of the carving that you can, if you're going to mess up somewhere, that's where you're going to mess up. But, you know, again, take your time. There's no rush here. There you go. We're just establishing some type of wood for the ear. That's all we're doing. All right. Then I kind of come in here, because in this area right in here, right in there, is eventually going to be an eye. So I like to, again, do the same kind of scooping up. These are, you know, I did an owl in the last video, and like I mentioned there, you know, these are kind of stylized. So keep that in mind. These are stylized figures, so we sort of, we're not doing biological studies of these animals. We're just whittling and having fun. What I like to do is create sort of a round around this over here, right from here, leaving some wood in this area over all in here. We're going to leave that wood because we want to leave that for eyes, and we'll try to do a very simplified eyes. So I'm going to start taking his little snout area back a little bit. Kind of come in here on the top of his nose and snout. Bring the wood back a little bit. There you go. Kind of bear-like. Alrighty. So then I also come back in here and I start, what I want to do, you can see how the ears look from the top. They're, too big right now, so I'll take these back just a little bit more. And I also start to round them over. Come in from the back. Again, little nibbling cuts around the ear. Just follow if you kind of follow the curve of the skull, you want to leave an ear area in here. So come down, move your knife around like that, just so you can create a little bit of the look of an ear. That's all. These aren't really that difficult to do. They're very approachable, and you do a few of them. You don't get it the first time. You cut that section of the wood off and you redo it. I haven't done a bear in a long time. Way back in the day when I was quite a bit younger than I am now. Well, I was younger than I am now. I did some chainsaw carving, and bears are sort of ubiquitous in the chainsaw carving, craft. You sort of start off with that. I mean, I know a lot of people do some amazing things these days with chainsaw. I've seen some demonstrations that are just absolutely phenomenal. But a lot of people start off just chainsaw carving bears. They have a lot of tutorials on that kind of thing. And I remember doing a few bears back in the day. And chainsaw carving is definitely different than whittling here. It's a lot louder, a lot dustier. It's a bit of a show, but I don't do it anymore. I just enjoy the quiet whittles. So there you go. That's all. That's what we're at right now. So I'm just going to kind of round over these ears a little bit. That's all. Just take a little bit of the curve off of them, or curve them around just a bit more. And then come from the back, like I said, and just work your way. Think of the shape of an ear on a bear and how they'd look. We're going to cut in here a little bit, just to kind of make them look a little rounder from the front, kind of like that. If you can kind of see. And same thing over here. We'll come in here, following the general shape of the head here. Just kind of notch off that bottom. It'll just round them out a bit more. And then we can start looking at the, like I said, I kind of want to make this video pretty approachable for people who want to learn how to whittle, or want to give it a shot, I should say. And so that's kind of the aim here. But like I said, if you're not new to whittling, and you've whittled for a number of years, and you're just interested in trying different things, and you haven't done a little bear, well, give it a shot now. So that's where we're at. Pretty, you can see that it doesn't take very long to do. I'm just going to hone up my knife and I'll be right back. Okay, let me clean some of that out of the way there. Make it a little easier to see. There you go. We're going to split this mouth area. There's about the halfway mark. I would say that's approximately the halfway mark right here. We're going to go just south of that, right about there, and put a stop cut in, kind of like so, and then just start to angle up to that stop cut, like that. And just bring it right down towards the back of the bear. Kind of like that. What I like to do is tuck the lower portion of his jaw in a little bit. So what I'm referring to, if you look at it from I guess this angle over here, this part here, and this part here, we can bring that back in a little bit. So what I like to do is just kind of come down here, deepen that stop cut a little bit, and then just kind of come through and remove a little wood. I'll show you from the front as soon as I'm done. So what it's basically doing is creating like a jowl area on the upper jaw, because the upper jaw is going to be protrude beyond the lower jaw. So kind of like that. You can kind of see. Now we brought that in a little bit compared to the other side, and we'll do the same thing over here. We're just going to come in here, cut that back a bit. The one thing about walnut is it's very grainy, so it tends to tear out a lot along the grain. And if you're using walnut, be prepared for that. You're gonna wind up having grain kind of blow out on you a bit, so it will happen. And there's really nothing you can do about it. You just have to expect it and work with it. So, especially when you're cutting. Like I am right now, where you have this like kind of short grain pieces over here. There's not a lot supporting it, so it does want to tear out a bit more. So there we go. We kind of created a little bit of a jowl area over here. Well, we're going to take these back, I think, just a bit more, because I'm going to kind of come here and round this out more. And you see I'm taking these little scooping cuts right along the side of the face and right down along the side of the face. Same thing over here. All right. There we go. We're getting there. Not really all that much in these whittles. They're pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do. I'm just going to keep rounding the nose area out a bit more. So I'm coming across and I'm just rounding it out. So it kind of makes it, you can kind of see right there. All right. I'll cut this back just a little bit more. Maybe take the front of the lower jaw back just a bit. How's that look? Not too shabby. You can see we're pretty far along here as far as the this little bear whittle goes. Not all that much to it. What you could do for the nose is kind of, or the little nostril area, I guess, the bear's, you know, for lack of a better word. Let me just make sure I got this where I want it to be before I do that. Okay. All right, so there you go. That's where we're at now. For the nostril area, we can come right down. If the distance between the bottom of the upper jaw and the top of the nose, I come down maybe about a third, I'd say. Right about there. Put a little stop cut in. And I see it. And then just kind of carefully cut up to it. Again, be careful because you don't want to do it too much and then blow out his nose, I should say. Blow out his little nostrils there. What I then do is I come back after I've made that cut, and you kind of see it right there. I just angle it back on the ends a little bit. Bears have really good noses. They can smell out food. When you go hiking to some locations, they require you to take special precautions and lock up your supplies in special bear-proof containers that they suspend from trees and everything else. Years ago, I was hiking up in the Adirondacks in upper New York State. The highest mountain in New York State, Mount Marcy, is located in the Adirondacks, and we were up there hiking it, and the camp areas are big bear territory, so you take special precautions or else you will lose all your food. But they're mostly black bears there. As far as I know. I don't know. They might. It's a while ago since I've done that, but that's what I believe the issue was. But they're tricky. Those bears can find their way into everything. So there you go. We kind of got his little nose in there. I like to come around the top of it as well and just define it again a little bit more by just taking little tiny nibbles. There you go. Clean up this lower jaw a bit, maybe make it just a little bit more angled. There you go. Pretty good, huh? In terms of how quick you can get this together. I'm just going to put a couple pencil marks in for where we're going to do the eyes, and I'll be right back. Hold on a sec. Okay. Now, there's a couple ways you can go about the eyes if you want. You can actually just pencil them in, darken it, put a little dark spot in there, and call it good. Or you can kind of come in here. I drew like a little triangle. You can barely make it out, I know, but what I do is here is I kind of come in on the bottom, right against the nose and where the eye is. I take just put a little cut in there, kind of cut down to it, just establishing the bottom of the eye. And just to flatten that out a bit, that's all. And then I'm going to come in the same thing on the other side over here. Just come in and just flatten that bottom part out. I don't know if you can see that like that. That's all. Make sure this is the same. Again, sometimes the wood will, has a mind of its own, and it'll break out a little bit. But I just try to flatten that out just a bit. Like that and like that. That's all. We just kind of cut. We just kind of cut right up to the eye area. You can kind of see over here. And then what we'll do is I'll come basically straight down here, straight down here, and then kind of over the top. I'll come across, kind of tie back into the lines I just cut. I don't know if you can see that. That's it. And then there's a little triangle you have in there. So you have a line here and a line here. And then there's a little triangle. So I kind of try to reach in here and nibble that triangle out a bit. I'm not going for a whole lot of detail here. And, I don't think you need to. Just want to establish a little bit of an eye there maybe. You're just basically taking that one vertex off the triangle over there on both sides. It's not going to stand out very much. What I'll come back and do is typically darken it, that wood that's left in there, with a little marker. That's really all you need to do before you finish it. Sometimes I'll come around and I'll do my best to define that inner area a little bit more. It's kind of hard to do on pieces like that, but I don't know if you can see. That's all. We're not really, again, we're not going for a whole heck of a lot of detail here, because bear's eyes are kind of, they're not overly big. Well, I mean, I guess they're pretty big. It's a bear, but that's all. That's all I'm really doing. I'm not trying to go too crazy on these, because I think it doesn't work to put a whole heck of a lot of detail in there. So that's kind of it. That's all I'm going to do for the eyes. Just a little bit of a curve in there. Do that on both sides, and then you can kind of come back over the tops and round the back just a bit, maybe just above, like the brow area. That's all. Not much. Again, don't go too crazy here. You don't need to, because it's it's a pretty small piece. Most of the time you're going to be looking at it from that far away. So once you darken that up in there, that'll be more than sufficient. We can let's just finish rounding out these ears, and let's get this piece finished up. You could certainly go about eyes in a different way and add more detail if you think that would work, by all means. But if you're just starting out, try to keep it simple. Sometimes simple works. I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there that do some pretty fancy whittling. Don't be discouraged by the fact that you see other people doing really fancy stuff, and you're like, oh geez, I'll never do that. You don't have to do that. Just do You know, whittle like I do. I'm not a fancy whittler. You know, I just do it to have fun. And there you go. So I'm going to just kind of take a little bit off the ears, a little bit more off the back of the ears. There you go. Kind of from the side, we want them to look bear-like from the front. You know. Then what I do here is what I'd like to do is bring the front down sort of at a, let me try to draw it in here. I'll come down here sort of to a point in kind of layers, I guess you could say. I'll just start scooping out a little bit of wood. I think it mimics the flow of the fur on a bear when he or she is standing up straight. These big brown bears, the way their fur pulls to the front. Just go in here and kind of start scooping out a little bit of wood. And then same thing. I like to create a little bit of a curve on the back over here. So I kind of come around the lower portion below the head, and I just start whittling some of that away. Just a little curve in here. I want this area to be the most prominent. Back of the head as it's standing up. And same thing, you can kind of, you don't have to whittle let you. Sometimes I find, like I said, with especially with a walnut like this, it can be, you know, it wants to tear out a little bit. So you gotta kind of work with it. I'm just making the flow of the hair go around like that a little bit. That's all. Nothing, you know, I'm not trying to add too much detail here. Just showing you how I kind of do the last finishes of the piece. And then I'll just cut it out. There you go. Didn't really take all that long. You can kind of see here we got a little bust of a bear in there. Not that hard to do, and kind of fun. Nice little beginner whittle, nice little practice whittle. Something again different than your little figure carvings that we sometimes see. That I do a lot of too. Nothing wrong with those, but sometimes you want to mix it up a bit. There you go. I just felt like a bear today, and when I saw this beautiful walnut, I said, "Oh yeah, bear's going to work on this real nice." So there you go. I'm just going to finish just cleaning up some of these little frayed pieces, but the bear itself is done. I'm going to do that and cut it out, and then when it's when that's all done, I'll show you how it looks. Be right back. Okay, there you go. It's all done. Just wanted to give you a quick look at it. I darkened his nose and his eyes with a Sharpie type marker just to make him, just for a little more contrast. He might be still a little wet. I wash him off just to tighten the grain up a bit, but there you go. They're not very hard to do. You take your time, you can do them. They're fun little projects, and when you're done, if you rather than just leave them around, find yourself a cork, glue them to the top, and have them as a bottle stopper or something like that. They're pretty cool, you know. I could definitely see that looking pretty sharp in a nice bottle. So there you go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and I hope you all have a great whittling week. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.